Hi, welcome back to another live stream. This is me just chilling out and painting, and absolutely I will answer questions about Dungeons and Dragons because that's usually what I do anyway. So for those of you who are hoping that was what I was going to do, yeah, guess what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, sound seems to be working fine. We'll get started straight away. I don't plan to sort of muck around. As I said, I don't have anything planned for today. The idea is I just paint rather than do anything particularly fancy, for those of you who are wondering. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. Today is my painting day. This is me being on holiday, and I have a monster to actually paint that I was given, and we've been working my way through it. This is like the third one now. I'm getting there, getting closer, and that's the whole point. We're painting the Behir. Behir. I mean, good lord, it's one of those, any of those. I want it to look like that. Maybe like this, but I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. As I've said before, I don't expect to be performing a miracle, but we're going to move on and start doing some detailing and highlighting. I think highlighting, there's going to be a bit of highlighting today. So yeah, absolutely highlighting is happening today. Feel free to post any questions you might have that you want to ask about Dungeons and Dragons, because that's kind of my thing. All right, where is it? Hashtag question dot. Did I type it in right? No, I don't. Did I bull that up? Yeah, I absolutely. Hi Joe, how's it going? Yeah, no, there it is. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, mate. I'm doing it. I'm putting it in there. Otherwise, people sort of think that I'm just sitting here painting and talking about nothing in particular. So I'm doing that. Trust me. I've pinned it. Well, I've certainly tried to pin it. There you go. There we go. All right. Okay. Right. Let's get a brush moving, shall we? Right. So highlighting. I got my dry brush. So we're going to do the dry brushing first. I have two colours. I'm going to go with the ghostly blue, and I'm going to go after that, I'm going to hit it with this gelatinous blue, which they're all Army Painter paints, but they're rebranded for Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments. Okay, so if you were wondering where the heck I got the paints from, that's where I got them from. No miracles, nothing strange and odd. Today is the day that my home group get together and we play Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, yeah. You might have noticed my voice is getting slightly better. I am so pleased. You have no idea how pleased I am. All right, so that's that. We'll start off with that one. Now, I've already worked my way through a couple of different colours. We did I think it was the Underdark Indigo. Then I hit it with this Ethereal blue thing, and then I hit it with the frost blue. I've done a little bit of stuff around the mouth, but other than that, kind of where we're at now is just let's get this paint on. So this is the one part that I always find that you always wind up with too much paint on the brush. You don't really need that much, not for what I'm doing today anyway. I'll see if I actually get this right. The paint on the brush is, yeah, okay, all right, let's see how we go. We'll start with the underbelly. We've been working all right with doing the underbelly, so I'll go with the stroke it that way. Yeah, it's a bit much still on that side of the brush. Okay. Oh, a little bit more paint than I thought was supposed to be there. But it'll work. We'll get there. Gonna go over it again. And it'll get washed. So yes, we've been playing through for a while now, my group, and they were level 15, and we're going to be trying to progress from here, since nobody is currently prepared or ready to dungeon master themselves, which is kind of a shame. I kind of like the idea of being a player for a little while. What would that mean? I'm sure that would mean I wind up doing a lot more videos on player stuff rather than dungeon master stuff. And given that I am now, well, should I say I would say I built the Dungeon Master Round Table. There is enough videos that I appear in that talk about Dungeon Master stuff. We probably don't need an awful lot more. I've appeared on so many different channels now. I feel like I am definitely the collab king. Certainly for the smaller channels, not necessarily for the larger channels. So what is everybody painting today? I'm sure everybody who's here isn't just hanging around for the sake of me talking. It is probably because you are painting yourself and you like to paint. See, this is one of the things that I am totally aware of, and that is that people who paint and watch YouTube at the same time, not necessarily paying attention all the time to what's going on the screen, because they've got to do their own painting, right? That's how it works. But what they are doing is they're listening. And if you have anything useful to say, then they'll be paying attention to that. Then every once in a while you look up and say, oh, he's got a bit further along. So for those of you who are wondering, what will ever happen to this YouTube channel? Do you know, some time back I tried to go full time. I didn't really enjoy it. It wasn't that much fun, and I probably will never do that again. But I would say this, for anybody who is wondering what is going to happen in the future. I would say around about 3 years from now, I will stop working at the job I currently do because I don't like it very much. I've done it long enough, I've had enough, and I will probably wind up painting most days on a live chat like this. So consider this probably the future about 3 years from now, when the mortgage is paid off and I'm in a position to actually do it, which I think 3 years is a reasonable time frame for that. Hi Jasper, how's it going? You got a custom-made Lady Zariel. Ooh, that sounds like a pretty fancy miniature. Look, I had a bunch of people who wanted me to review and show off their miniatures, and I keep turning them down. And I know you're probably wondering, like, crazy Fred, why are you doing that? Well, the simple fact is I know I can't dedicate the kind of time they would like to that sort of thing. And often these companies, they want you to do very specific things. So, and I really can't do that. I have a job, which is going to become even more complicated than it was before. So I do have to sort of say no. I feel kind of bad about it because, you know, will those opportunities still exist in the future? It's hard to know. I always find that people who want me to do stuff are not necessarily completely linked up with what I do on my channel. And I don't really want to talk about internet providers and software, and, you know, it's not really my thing. But I've also, if I'm going to do the other stuff, I've got to make sure I have the time, and I just don't have it right now. But yeah, there you go, Joe. If you can hold out for 3 years, you'll find me online pretty much every day, probably painting some sort of miniature that somebody sent me, rather than having to buy the thing. Oh dear. Right, I think this is kind of working all right. It's going to be impossible to get underneath that mouth. I'm not even going to try to worry too much about it. I'll just hit it a little bit and that'll be it. And then we just move on. Except that there is limitations. I probably shouldn't have hit the mouth before doing this, but it seemed like a sensible thing to do. What's that, Jasper? You should see my favourite Warhammer minis. Okay. I bet you it took a while. And it wouldn't have been like, oh, I just spend like an hour or half an hour here, there, and everywhere. It would have taken you forever. I remember how long it used to take me painting my Warhammer miniatures. And I did actually play, Warhammer, the fantasy, and when it existed, and 40k. It's all very different now. I don't really play those games anymore, simply because, as I've said before, I kind of felt like it was all about money and miniatures, and I just got frustrated. I didn't really have what I wanted out of the hobby, so I moved on. And now I play Dungeons and Dragons, and feel a lot happier about the arrangement. So that's just me. That's how I work. Doesn't have to work for everybody though. There have been times where I've really wanted to show miniatures, my Warhammer miniatures on this channel, but I just know that it's not going to work. So yeah, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. I think to a large degree my reason for having a Warhammer army in the first place was the idea that I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, but I really didn't want to play Dungeons and Dragons or hadn't started doing that. I think that's what was going on, really. What's that, Jasper? Time really doesn't show results. It's my best paint job yet. Yeah, it's hard to actually sort of indicate like how long it takes, because everybody's different in terms of what they do, right? I mean, certainly that's what I find. So yes, I have got to figure out with my home group what we do. Since I'm still Dungeon Master, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. And I've got some ideas, but like everything that you do, you're never too sure if it's going to work until you do it. Or even if they're going to like it. And right now, it's actually more preparation time. I have to accept the fact that there is going to be a limit to the preparation time that I have. Although if they will make my shifts all night shifts, I'm going to wind up with way too much time at night. But then again, my brain doesn't work very well. It's very hard to have a creative brain when you're pretty much ready to fall asleep at 11 o'clock at night, which is exactly what's likely to happen when I start doing the night shift. So I'm not really looking forward to that at all. Oh, what do we got here? Dragon Eye. Ooh, nice name. Thought about playing Kingdom Death Monster or painting any of those miniatures? Not really. I got sent some stuff or given some stuff for my birthday recently, which I don't know if I'll paint anytime soon. Frankly, I don't know if I will do that. It is something that I still am unsure about. Okay. Focusing on this just for a second, just to get this bit done, and then I'll just wiggle down here. What do you got here? What's that, Joe? War games is you only need one other person. It's good to have that kind of game. Yeah, I understand. I get it. You need to have a lot of... See, that used to be something that I had a problem with. I don't have that problem anymore, so I understand what you're talking about. But then again, when I first started playing Dungeons and Dragons, I only had 2 players. I was dungeon mastering, and there were only 2 players, and we did fine. I mean, you know, things can get complicated, but you change the way you play. Do you know what I mean? You have to adjust things. Either if you fight, you've got to go all in, and if it's too much, then you've got to know it's time to bug out. And I remember they sometimes they would say, oh no, this is too hard, we are going, and they would bug out. So it makes perfect sense. So yes, you've got to just approach the game like it's not a computer game where you've got a save point. You just keep going, right? And there are other ways of dealing with that. You can give people helpers, somebody to tag along and make things a bit easier, like animal companions and sidekicks and stuff like that. I mean, there's so many tools. Hench people, hirelings, that sort of stuff. All right. That was like a bit too much paint there. Okay, like now, let's have a quick cursory look before I move on to another colour. Kind of. Be too much there. Up the arm. Sorry, that was my mind wandering somewhere. Nowhere good. All right, now let's see. Very, very quick. Okay, all right. Nothing too special. I'm not using advanced techniques, I can tell you that now. If you came here for advice and help on how to paint, you're wrong. That's not what's going to go on here. Okay, so I cannot wash the brush because then I can't dry brush. So we move on to the next color. Since we'll be doing some dry brushing, we're going to get that kind of done and dusted. We're going to go with Gelatinous Blue. I gave it a good shake before. Warhammer minis are so expensive. Yes, they are. They are very, very expensive. I can't dispute that. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Because they charge based on a very peculiar method, which is they assume based on the average disposable income for some, for people in a particular country, which is always different, right? And then they charge for a box set, which is basically your hobby, that much money. So the assumption is let's use up all of their disposable income. It's got nothing to do with how expensive it is to make them or anything like that. It is just based on... Now, how do I know this? Because I know somebody's going to be saying, how do they work this out? Well, because I talked to one of the game stores who explained to me how they work this out. And so that's what's going on there. That's how I know, because I chatted to one of the managers and I said, so why do they do that way? And they said, well, it's a stupid idea, but that's how they try to maximize their money. And so as a result, this is why a lot of people try to buy knockoffs or companies that are producing something that's very, very similar or the same thing, but they've just basically used Game Workshop's molds and put out their own production line. So you don't... I mean, that still happens with Dungeons and Dragons, but I think with Games Workshop it happens a lot more. And it's not a smart move by charging that way, because it's just stupid. This is why so many people get so frustrated and angry with them. Okay. Now, I am not expecting to do this any significant justice. I am just trying to get it done at this present time. And I have every intentions of darkening things up. And I'm probably going to have to re-go over and do this sort of thing later anyway, but we're going to get it done. It'll help me see where all the... I mean, to a large degree, I feel like when you do this sort of thing, it's just to help you figure out where all the details are, so you can find it when you're actually painting in the smaller stuff. Okay, work my way up this way. Never going to get underneath the chin that much, but we'll try to sort of get there if we can. I won't going to fuss too much, because it probably won't work anyway. And then work my way along the top, across the side. Okay, alright, bit more paint. I've got to be really careful with this one, because it's so close to white. It'd be very easy to balls things up quite nicely. Although, I'm sure somebody's going to say, yes, but that's what they were invented washers for. Yeah, okay, you're right. Let's go across that. And then down the side. Yep, she's certainly getting there. I feel like we're getting some progression going on. A lot better than I thought it would turn out so far. Okay. I don't think I'm actually doing anything with the brush now. I'm just moving it around. There's no paint. Yeah. So yes, I am toying with the idea of taking my players back to Undermountain. I do not know that they are really ready for that. Frankly, I don't know that. I would have to significantly change the whole thing. One of the problems that a lot of people don't seem to realize is you really can't base a Dungeons and Dragons campaign when you get to level 15 like you would a level 1 or even a level 5 or even a level 10 campaign. It doesn't work that way. It's funny you should say that. Somebody asked me that, and I said probably not. But actually, it might come up. It might actually wind up occurring. Oh shit! That that didn't work out. Okay, pardon me. I have to be very gentle, very careful, because there's obviously still more paint on there than I expected. Oh, jeez. I thought I brushed it off. Oh, you snot of a thing. Alright, okay. I'll fix it later. I don't have any choice, do I? Man, I thought I had it all sorted out. This is one of the reasons why I don't really like dry brushing as a technique. Although it has some benefits, but I could never learn how to do it. You know, the wet layering that my brother used to do. He'd explain what you had to do, and I'm like, I can't do that. That's too hard. Yeah, Undermountain. Yeah, but there's a lot of creatures in Undermountain that are belong in other places. Alistair Blackcloak has this tendency to collect all sorts of things, and if you play through the whole adventure, you will come across literally everything there is in the monster manual. I think you've covered pretty much all the bases. Maybe the only thing that hasn't been covered are some of the devils, but even that, there's a lot going on there. So yeah, and it doesn't really matter how big the creature is. You've got caves and all sorts of things they can be stored in. Look at that! Look, that really, that's bugging me now. I'm upset by that. How do I fix it? You know, what I'll try to do is fix it, and it won't work. That's what's going to happen, right? Yeah, so in terms of Undermountain, I think my best bet is to adjust everything. Maybe I will take the framework, or I will use it, but I will take stuff out or put stuff in, because it's very much an exploration kind of adventure where there's a lot of and it takes a long time. The areas are huge, so when you explore them, it could take you sessions, and I do not feel like high level play is suitable for spending sessions, a lot of different sessions playing through to get to the next level, because it's torture as far as I'm concerned. Okay, all right, I'm going to wash out the dry brush, and I'm going to try to fix my balls up there. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll find a way. Find a way. There's always something, right, you can do. Right, what have we got here? Reach round. That's a tricky spot. And put that over there. And then I've got that. All right, cool. Put this over here. So yes, if you have questions, by all means, feel free to ask some questions, and I will do my best to answer those questions. So that's basically what I've got, and I can see the area that I've made the big mistake with. What do you think? You think he's what? Noodly compared to the Gale Force 9. Yeah, fair enough. I would agree. I haven't actually asked Gale Force 9 for any miniatures in the past year or so. I think at least a year or so. They used to send me quite a bit of stuff actually, but that was only really practical when I was unemployed and I just didn't have any time, so I could do a lot of stuff with them. But I don't know how. I mean, is Gale Force 9 still being able to retain their contract with Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons to make certain types of miniatures? Because I feel like they may not have. Well, that's not going to work very well. Okay, so we'll leave that and let that sort of soak for a little bit, I guess. I might have to use something to kind of clean that out with. What's that, Jasper? I have to keep reminding my players that Ethereal isn't a demon, and they definitely shouldn't say that around her. Yeah. Yeah, not a good idea. That won't go down well. All right, so smaller brush. Yeah, okay, so I went with that color, and maybe I can backtrack a little bit by using the lighter one. No, I'll use this one instead. I'll use this one instead. I'm going to use that one there. This is the Frost Blue. So that's a little bit darker than what I've been using so far. Is that going to come out? Okay, all right. Let's make this work. Yeah, that's right. I had the Xanathar and I had the Owlbear that came with the Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments Monster Paint set, that limited edition one. The one that everybody wanted but couldn't get because you had to have the paint set. And then I think they actually released it. I don't remember the exact details around that. Yeah, he is a dangerous noodle. Hi, Scott. How's it going? All right, let's see if I can get this. Make sure my fingers are dry. Fingers are dry. Okay, and fix problem. Yeah, I know it's a patch job. Okay, almost. Okay, I think that did all right. Let's go for another color. So I'm going to go down. I had the Frost Blue, so I'm going to go back to, what was the color that I was using after that? That was supposed to be Ghostly Blue. So Ghostly Blue. We'll hit it with the Ghostly Blue and see if that works. No. There we go. Put that out of the way. Hopefully I don't have to go back to that because it would be a drag. They're still making miniatures, so Gale Force 9 is still making miniatures for Dungeons and Dragons. I know there was a licensing problem and their license was coming up for renewal, or they were going to end it or something like that. Yeah, exactly. WizKid seems to be getting on the unpainted miniatures market, but frankly, I think that Gale Force 9 make nicer miniatures. What you're getting from the Nolzur's Marvelous set is you're getting production line, where it's all in one piece usually. And I still think that the Gale Force 9 miniatures are usually significantly better. There we go. I think a wash after that will probably take out all the problems. Yeah, Gale Force 9 is certainly much more expensive, but I still think that their miniatures are a lot better. That's a definite. You nodded off and missed supper as well, Scott. Oh no. Okay, now I need to go back to the the Gelatinous Blue, and I'm going to use a small brush. Here we go. Oh no. Troubles. Okay, all right. I know when to quit. It's slight improvement. I am going to back off and just leave alone what I've done with that so far, and I'm going to move on to a different task right now. We've got the basics in place. That's the main thing, right? I think what I'll do is I'm going to use this zombie flesh that I used last time and go over the mouth again a little bit, and then I'm going to start tackling some of the, I think the horns, get some brown on the horns and get some, I'm going to go white, and then I'm going to use the zombie flesh and possibly the skeleton bone on the claws. I'm going to start with the white. No, do I want to start with the white? Actually, I don't really know if I do want to start with the white. I might start with a different colour. Okay, we'll see. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it very, very carefully. How much more do I need of that? Maybe about that much. What's that, Jasper? Ooh, right, so this is the zombie flesh that's going on inside the mouth. You homebrewed a flesh column with a bull's head and gave him a gore attack. Nice. I would love to tell you what I have to homebrew for my group for their big boss, but if they watch this, which I frankly I think would be very unlikely, but there is a good chance that they might know what's going on. So the smart thing for me to do is not mention anything, and if they encounter that beastie tonight, then I can talk about it tomorrow. Yeah, I'm locked down, so I'm probably going to be painting every day until I go back to work, and then it will be truly, truly awful. from the sounds of it, going back is not going to be fun. Dear. Anyway, inside the mouth, and I might just go along the edge of that mouth as well. And it's sort of separating. I'm going to have to put some more water on the brush. Do the other side. Okay, all right. We're going to have to move to a smaller brush very shortly. I can see that happening, but not just yet. Yeah. So I have probably made boss monsters for almost all of the major levels that they've been dealing with recently. Certainly from the point, actually I would say from about level 6 onward, I've been making boss monsters and custom monsters for my group, because I know that that's the only way that they're going to get any kind of significant challenge. They're too good. Their characters are so powerful. So when you think about it, that's a lot of work to actually have to build into your game. If you're constantly having to build monsters to deal with all the things your players have. I certainly think that Gloomstalker is one character class that terrifies me. Makes me laugh when people say rangers aren't any good. Clearly they've never had a Gloomstalker in their party. And even compared to some other classes. Oh, you got a question. Scott's got a question for me. Thank God. What are your thoughts on character optimization within reason? Okay, what are my thoughts? Okay, so I'm not against character optimization, but I think that there are some people who consider themselves character optimizers, not power gamers. I don't see a differentiation between the two. Do you know what I mean? I think that's just semantics, because somebody who likes to optimize characters doesn't want the negative connotations of being considered a power gamer. And that's, I think, what's going on there for them. Do you know what I mean? I've often had power gamers and optimizers at my table, whatever you want to call them, and they can add quite a lot to a game, but they also generate a significant amount of work, because they are usually far stronger than anybody else in the party. And occasionally you'll get one who will try to help the other party move up to their level of play, but the problem is not all players think that way and give a toss about that sort of thing. So that's another problem you've got to contend with. So my views on the whole power gaming optimizing of characters is there's more of it going on than I've ever seen before. There was always a lot of that going on before, but what you had mixed up amongst the power gamers and the optimizers in older versions of the game that I've played is you had the people who deliberately knew how to optimize a character but didn't do that. In fact, they did the exact opposite deliberately to see what would happen. And, you know, I don't see a lot of that nowadays. I don't see people who build characters knowing fully well that the choices that they've made were a really bad idea, and they just did that just for the sake of really generating a good laugh, creating some funny moments, and, you know, in some cases it's role play. There's role play aspects to it, but I think it was actually a rebellion against the tendency to rely on the mechanics of the game too much. And you can see that style of play occur with optimizers who know how to optimize, and they deliberately build a character that is suboptimal. And what they're doing is they know that the game is no challenge to them. So they will build a character that they know won't work very well, and then they will try to work with it. And they usually do far better than anybody else. So what would you call that? Is that the... I don't know. What would you call that? The anti-optimizer. There are anti-optimizers out there, but there's very few that I see nowadays. I feel like that it is a lost trend. A trend that I kind of enjoyed because we had some fun moments with anti-optimizing. And it is far too easy. I feel like Dungeons & Dragons 5e is slowly but surely moving into the same problems that occurred with 3.5. Now, if you loved 3.5, you won't understand what the heck I'm talking about, so don't worry about it, just switch off. If you do understand what I'm talking about, great. But there is such a problem in that people don't see the problems with giving your players too much. So, therefore, it can be a hassle. There is also another aspect to anti-optimizers too, and that is that they can actually bring a party to a sad and abrupt end. And I've seen that happen too. And that can get people quite angry. So, alright, so I've done the inside of the mouth. I'm going to come back and hit it again with a different colour. I am still undecided as exactly what that's going to be, but we'll get there. What's this? Did that answer your question, Scott? You'll have to let me know. I have always loved just building characters for fun, and I think it makes NPCs more four-dimensional, but some optimize with the intent of breaking the game. Yeah, and I think that's essentially... Yeah, there were too many books in 3.5, but it became a hobby. Dungeons & Dragons became a sport of how can I find the most broken combination of features, put them together, and just watch the Dungeon Master lose their mind. This was an actual sport. You might think that I'm kidding, but I'm quite serious. It was an activity that is not just prevalent at my tables. I know it existed at other people's tables as well, and it will probably go on and on and on for years and years and years. Actually, let's do the brown next. So I'm going to use this Owlbear brown. Owlbear brown. I'm going to go for these horns. I'm going to get these horns with some paint on them. Okay. I found a great homebrew website. Some of the spells are silly, but over the builds are cool. Like the Hunger Circle Druid. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, see, there's a reason why you'll notice that I haven't really done character builds on my channel. I have done some. There's one in particular where it is actually not my idea. It was a friend's idea, and I just put it on the channel because he said you should do this. And it's the most popular video that I have. And it's a paladin build. And I hate that video but it makes me more money than anything else, which is really, really, it frustrates me. I go out of my way trying to find ways to make a video that will outperform that sodding thing, but it just doesn't happen. And that is just seems to be the new age of how people think, which is why you'll notice that I do some very mad videos, you know, like how to use a rope or a 10-foot pole in your game. I've been working my way through the tool sets like the herbalism kit and the thieves tools. I did a video on trinkets, just trying to get people to look at something else other than all those special features and the combinations that you can use in building a character, because it's probably by far my least favorite aspect of the game. And you guys know that I am drawn to the wizard. I like powerful stuff, but I'm not really drawn to the wizard because I can blow up and do lots of damage. I'm drawn to it because it has the ability to do lots of utility things, so I can solve a lot of problems. And then you usually get that, well, have you got fireball? Or what? Just fireball them, Fred. Fireball them. Look, if you've played a wizard, you'll know what I'm talking about. You try to do something else, and you really can't because they're like, fireball. Where's your fireball? I've run out of slots at level 3, 4, 5, and 6. I can't do any more. Back it up. Yeah. So we'll get these horns coated, and then we're going to move on to the little toes. How much will we get done today? I am not sure, but I feel like I'm feeling very positive that there is going to be plenty of progress today. So for those of you who are like, oh, he's probably going to get hardly any paint on. Mate, I'm talking way too much. I have to shut up a bit. What else you got here? You found a character creation helped get my D&D fix when I'm unable to play Laugh Out Loud. Oh, God, I keep forgetting. I need to show you guys how to play online with a battle map, because you can do that, Scott. You can play online with a Zoom chat. Don't have to learn a virtual table system or anything like that, which actually is very time consuming. You probably, it's probably even faster to use a battle map with a webcam, as long as you've got a tripod or some way of angling the your webcam from your face and then to the battle map. And you need to have a big desk or a table when you're doing it. So it would be absolutely super smart to use a laptop if you can with a webcam, and then you just angle it. And an external one is probably the smart way. What's this, Jasper? I want to do a character build video. That sounds cool. Yeah, look, we will probably I will probably talk about the Gloomstalker Ranger in the future, because I've talked to Simon and to JP about whether I should actually point this out to people, and the hard work and the research hasn't been done yet. But we know what the thing can do, and he's played it from level 1 right through to level 15. And I can assure you, it didn't matter what level he was. He could be level 1, he could be level 15. He dominates the table and destroys everything. There's an ongoing joke that I haven't given him a magic bow, which he doesn't need. He honestly does not need a magic bow, because he's got sharpshooter. He can shoot anything from any distance. He's got a huge range, and he makes a bucket load of attacks and does huge amounts of damage. Yeah, so I feel like that'll probably wind up on the channel, but the reason for it going up there will be very different to what people might expect. Dear. It'll be more of a warning video. It'll probably get used by players who are like, oh cool, this looks like a good idea, and then I'm hoping it'll also get used by dungeon masters who realize, oh, actually maybe I don't want that in my game. Now, can I see what's going on there? That looks weird. There's something odd. It's like a joining of the plastic. Yeah, okay, all right. Leave it alone. Leave it alone, Fred. Okay, wash out the brush. What's it, Scott? I have a shortage of players, unfortunately. Well, what about players? I totally understand not wanting people that you don't know very well. You can get them online, and you know, I would consider, you know, when you get new people into your game from online sources, consider them not your friends, and certainly consider them people that are on a temporary basis. They are auditioning. They're not auditioning to see how good they are at making characters and killing monsters. They're auditioning to be able to communicate and hang out with other people and have a good time. So yeah, I would certainly consider that an approach to try out. Look, would it help if I did a really short video? I don't mean like less than 60 seconds. It ain't going to be a short video, but I mean a shortish video on how I set up for my game. And I can show you exactly what I do, how it looks, and explain what I do. And frankly, anybody could do this. Anybody could do this. If you're used to running with a battle map, you'll find it easy. And then there's those times where you don't even bother using a battle map and you just go with theatre of the mind. I do that quite a lot. Frankly, particularly if it's a battle where I think it's going to be very one way and the players are going to decimate everything. I'm like, okay, all right, we've got our initiative, let's go. And we buzz through it as fast as we can using my initiative system that I've got, which is group initiative, which worked really, really well. Although at high level, trying to explain to people who are playing at high level that they need to use a dice rolling app for damage, at least for damage. I mean, it's fine if you've got 3 attacks that you make every turn and you have 3 d20s, you can roll them all at once. Don't roll them separately, that's a pain. Okay? But the damage dice, you've got to have an automated system for that, because it's just too many dice. I remember them picking up just bucket loads, you know, like a whole cup full of these little suckers and doing stuff. All right, so we're going to go with the claws next, and I'm very much feeling like I'm going to go with the flesh. I was going to go white, but I'm still. The problem is that the white would help stand out. You really dislike playing online. I totally understand, Scott. It has been a real. It's been hard work for my group to get their head around it. And we've still got a player who refuses to have a webcam. We just cannot get them to have a webcam. They just won't do it. And so we can't see if they're actually there. And if they wander off to go to the toilet or go get a meal or something, we've got no idea what's going on. So, yeah. Anyway. But surprisingly, you know, playing online can be pretty relaxed. Most of the group have got pretty good at just chilling out. What's this? Slisky. Look, if I ballsed up your name, Slisky, I do apologise. What's my favourite race to play? And I really like these streams. They're laid back. I like them too because they are laid back. I don't have to stress at all. I don't have to prepare anything. All I'm going to do is make sure all the stuff is laid out. I just leave it out. Tomorrow, come back to it. It's all left out. I haven't changed anything. Or actually, I might have to change it because I've got a game tonight and I might have to put out a battle map. So that's a bit different. But yeah. My favourite race is the Dragonborn. But before the Dragonborn was a playable option, I really, really liked half-orcs. And if I could play a full-blown orc, I would have done that. But you have to understand that I am an instigator. I have a strong instigator tendency in my games. Okay, now if you don't know what an instigator is the sort of person who likes the story to move on and gets impatient very, very quickly, which is why it's better that I be a dungeon master. And as a result of that, if people took too long or a bit indecisive, I would just do something bat crazy at the table. What do you got here? What's this, Joe? You need to one day clean that palette, that paint palette, Fred. Soak it down and use a spoon to scrape all the if I ever get time. It does look the same as last year, because it is. It's exactly the same. I have not changed it. It's so cheap that when it's filled up with paint and there's no more space for anything, I'm just going to throw it away and buy another one. You really think I'm going to spend my precious time on cleaning it? It's not going to happen. It is definitely not going to happen. Oh dear. Funny. Yeah, so look, why do I enjoy half-orcs and orcs? It's because they are traditionally those sorts of races that people deem as cannon fodder and evil and horrible. And I don't know what it is. The idea of being playing a green race doesn't actually, I don't find unappealing. No, I ain't going to clean the palette. I'm just going to keep filling it with paint, and then I'm going to toss it away like a frisbee, mate, and then buy another one, because I know they're like $2 down in the $2 shop. It would take me so long to get all that stuff off. It isn't going to happen. So why did I suddenly, when the Dragonborn was a playable option, because it wasn't always a playable option. That was really Dungeons & Dragons 4E. I don't believe that Dragonborn were an option in 3.5 or before that. So the idea of playing a dragon, actually, or a dragon-like species, that's actually really appealing to me. I really liked that idea, which is why I really enjoy them. What I dislike about the Dragonborn in Dungeons & Dragons 5e is, one, almost every other race has got dark vision, and yet a Dragonborn doesn't have dark vision. Oh, that annoys me so much. And the breath weapon, God, the breath weapon is like, it's a cool idea, but it's just not the best option. It's not something that you really can use and have it be anything other than a very circumstantial benefit. At low level. At a higher level, it's like a waste of time. And I don't honestly need the dragon breath to be, super awesome or anything like that, and to be my main go-to. Let's breathe on somebody. Yeah, I haven't brushed my teeth for 6 years. Let's breathe on them and watch them disintegrate. I'm not thinking like that. Now, I'm having a little bit. Let's move this around. Why do you like the half-orcs? Question. Okay, we'll go back to the half-orcs in a second. First time in a live stream. Hi, PigPug214. Welcome, PigPug. I hope I got your name right. I really do. So going back to half-orcs, do you know, it isn't really the features of the half-orc that I find appealing. What I really like about the half-orc is I just like the idea that I'm playing a character whose parentage is mixed. And I would go into more detail about it, but I suspect that I might be venturing into into getting myself into trouble, and I don't want to try to get myself into too much trouble if I can help it today. But yeah, I guess that's what, and also too, people sort of expected orcs to do, or half orcs to do, some nutty crazy things. So hence I picked the half orc and played those in my party. This is going to be very, very time consuming with the claws. There are so many of them. Of course, I could just cut off a foot and then there would be less. What do you got here, Joe? I give a Dragonborn dark vision and I scale up their breath weapon as they level. Yep. Look, I have certainly considered giving the Dragonborn dark vision, but I really despise what Wizards of the Coast has done with dark vision. because dark vision is essentially a trump card. You know, in the past you had to have a torch and you would give away your position because not everybody could see in the dark. But now every single race sees in the dark, and I'm sorry, I know they're trying to simplify things, but it has actually made a mess of the game. It's really messed up how it used to be played. And you could say, oh, but things change. Well, I'm sorry, but this is actually one change where I honestly feel like they made significantly the wrong decision. Scott, lockdown day 487. Fred cleans the paint tray. No, that's not gonna. I am an essential worker. They will not let me go on into lockdown for 487 days. they already wanted me to come back last week, and I said no. Hi, White Rhino. Question: what's your stance on halflings and the lucky feet? I think that halflings should be lucky. I think the halfling feet lucky is, and the lucky feet are, I don't know that the halfling feature that they have that's lucky is that bad, but I feel like the lucky feat is too much, because there is a downfall to being a halfling and being lucky. Okay, and the reason there's a downfall is that you have to play that race. You can't just play any race you would like. You have to play that race. And there are some disadvantages to being a halfling. And there are some advantages as well, but there are disadvantages. But there are no disadvantages to taking the lucky feat. If I could get away with it, I would get rid of the lucky feat. But I've already tried that. I talked to my group and I said, how about we just play with no feats or multi-classing? And then they said, no, we want multi-classing. And I said, well, how about we just play with no feats? And they said, no, we want feats. So it never happened. It's not going to happen. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you say it's an optional rule. As soon as you have players and they know that they're there, they want them. It's as simple as that. It's like saying, guess what? You've bought a book. It's got a whole lot of toys in it, and you can't play with the cool ones. Yeah. So I don't like the lucky feat. I'd be quite happy to see that thing disappear. That was put in the book, if you ask me, to appeal to those people who wanted to really just sort of make everything work. And you get so many uses of it too. I mean, 3 uses in an adventuring day before you get them all back again. That's a heck of a lot. I kind of feel like there's got to be a better way, but I don't know what that is. If I knew, I've made a video by now. I don't know what the answer is. And I've not seen a single person on YouTube who has had any kind of suggestion that either made sense or seemed satisfactory. And that includes Dungeon Coach. For those of you who are about to say, what about Dungeon Coach? So that's my stance. I don't have a problem with halflings being lucky, but I don't like the lucky feat. I don't know if does that answer your question? I don't know if it answers your question. What's that, Joe? He can soak that thing overnight and clean it in the morning. Might take 5 minutes. He'll never do it. That's right, Joe. You've got it. Well done. Well done. You're absolutely right. I will not do that. I think Fred's a halfling. He's lucky every time he goes to paint that he doesn't get there. Yeah, I could have picked up the wrong colour easily. And yes, I know that white on the claws looks blooming too white. I understand. Okay, I am totally aware that they do look way too white. They're not going to stay that white. They're going to get some adjustment. Trust me. But right now, it's white. So accept it, because you can't change it. I'm over here on the other side of the camera. Dear. Alright, where is this? This is... Well, I'm going to be going very shortly, so if you have any more questions, you better be quick before I finish putting the white on the claws. Because like everybody knows, you've got to prep for game time. My prep is pretty short, but I'll do other things. Probably go into the garden. Behir with a manicure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's what I've got to do. I've got to send off that email to Wally DM and tell him what my questions are. I did consider a lot of the options that people suggested, Flumph and this creature as a monster to discuss, but I actually picked other monsters that I really, really like, and yeah, they're going to get the treatment. All right, so I'm going to do the eyeball, and then I'm going to do the eyeball white, and then we'll come back because I ain't going to stay white. I don't like it to stay white. That brush needs a little bit of work on it. Nail salon. Did you notice manicured? My manicured, I did cut my nails. I thought, you've noticed the difference. Wow. I can tell you now though, I look like a caveman because I haven't had a haircut in a long time, and none of the there's no salons, there's no barbers, there's nobody who's cutting hair right now, and I've got nothing other than a pair of stationary scissors if I wanted to have my hair cut. So I look like a woolly mammoth with no hair in the middle. So you've got to think about it this way. Imagine there's hair, none in the middle of your head, but it's all springing up, going straight up like a rocket ship, all around that bald section in the middle. That's what I've got to contend with right now. Okay, let's get the eyeball. Oh, you sod, I hate this. Well, that looks terrible. It always does. Every time I've got to do something fine and detailed with like eyes and so forth, it's always so difficult. And you go to fix it and you wind up with too much paint there. Right, one more eyeball. And we're pretty close to being done. Oh, did that work out better? Jeez, I'm surprised. Oh no, that eye on that side is more open. So that eye's open more, and that one's not. Is that my Is it my failing eyesight that's telling me this, or is it actually true? Okay, leave it alone. Okay, oh god. Yeah. This is a problem. I can't count the number of times I've had to paint again around the outside of an eye because I've put too much paint in a place where it shouldn't be. Anyway, thank God I haven't done that today. So what do we got? We've got our highlighting done. We've done a little bit of work on the horns, one side, and the other side. Look, there you go. No detail yet, but with the base colours there. I've done the eyes white. I've done inside the mouth again to get that sort of going. It's going to need a little bit more paint. We've got the whole thing has been sort of dry brushed and highlighted, kind of. There's a few mistakes. Don't look too hard. And I've given it a manicure job on the top section, but not the underneath section, with the white. Will I do the rest of it? Who knows? I'm not going to tell you that. So everybody, you should have a good night. Continue painting because it's a good thing to do. And it's very relaxing, I found. And I will continue to do that sort of thing. So thank you for hanging out with me. So whether it is the morning, the afternoon, the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. Be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.